Hello, everybody, whoever's here, and welcome. I'm not seeing anybody yet, so we'll see. I'm going to hit record here, and we'll have people joining us. We had like 20 people sign up.
Oh, how exciting.
That was very exciting. All right, now let me see. I want to record it. Oh, it's recording. Okay, I'll just chop this off. So what are we even calling this, Jen?
I would say that,
Getting
well,
your kids to do chores.
like response. I mean, it's more about the quality of
Yeah.
the chores. It's more about being like responsible and doing good work, being what is it? Conscientious. Being
Being
conscientious.
conscientious, that's we're gonna talk about that. Somebody's here, people are jumping on. So we'll get started. Okay, Jen,
Okay.
we're gonna,
Yep.
hi, welcome. We're so happy that you're here, and share in the chat. We would love to say hi to you by name, and you wanna make sure that you do the chat to all attendees. And what is it, Jen? It's
All panelists and attendees.
Yes. And during this time, if you have any questions at all, put it in the Q&A, because at the end, we're going to answer your questions. So thank you, Jen, for being here. And Jen is the COO behind the scenes and now in front of the camera, which you do a lot of things in front of the camera.
I
But
do.
yes. And she is just a huge blessing. So I'm so glad that she has agreed to do this for us. And yeah, so welcome, Jen. So glad to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes. And I was at Jen's last week. It was so nice to be with her in person. And we were brainstorming our upcoming 3-day free workshop, and then launching the 8-week parenting program again, and all the stuff that we're going to offer to all of you. And she was telling me about this chore chart and what she's doing with Isaiah and how it was working for her. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much more than just chores. So
Right.
we're going to kind of break down, Jen's going to share with us what works, what doesn't work. But I thought we got to share that with the moms, because I hear from so many of you that your kids are lacking motivation. You're feeling resentful. They've been home, most of you, for your kids have been home for going on 14 months. And so how do we help our kids to help out around the house? How do we help ourselves? All of those things. So how do you get your kids to do chores? Well, Jen, why don't you just lay down kind of the foundation of this, and like what motivate, we won't even start with what it is yet. Just what motivated you to do this?
Isaiah wouldn't do anything around the house. I mean, literally would do nothing. He wasn't, I would ask him to put stuff away and he would do it. And we had so many systems we've been going through, so many, chore ideas, trying other methods. And it just kind of got to the point where he just didn't even care. He didn't even bother. Any punishment, whatever, it didn't matter. He just really didn't want to do chores. So I had to come up with something, because we were just fighting all the time, bickering, fighting, all of that. And I needed to end that. So that's why.
Well, and for those of you that don't know a little of Jen's backstory, or have not heard her on the podcast or her share in one of our groups or workshops, Isaiah is strong-willed. If
Yeah.
you're coming to this and you're like, my kid won't do anything, I'm fighting with them, I'm arguing, then just know, like, you are talking to two people right here that
Yeah.
have dealt with resistors.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that is like why when she was telling me that she was doing this, I was like, oh my gosh, Jen, you got to come talk, encourage the moms, help, right? Because
Yeah.
we've been in it for the long haul, and so many of our kids are just lacking motivation. And it's always a struggle. I mean, besides COVID, it's hard to know, how do you get your kids to contribute and help out?
Right.
So, okay. So when you started this is probably like, I want to really encourage moms to really listen now, because what motivated you to do this? And I think that this was the most powerful thing that you shared with me. So what
Well,
motivated you?
you know, first of all, there's a couple pieces to this. So first of all, Isaiah's always asking me to buy him things. So there's that. He's always asking me to buy him things. And he was getting a $5 allowance. And we had a different chore chart where he could actually ultimately make $20 a week if he did everything on the chore chart. And yet he was not doing it. And it was just too, it was not specific enough. I think kids are not, they can't see out into the future. They don't do math around their chores. They don't look at a chore chart and think I can get $2 for this and $2 for that, and whatever. Now I'll have $20. So there was that. And then the other piece that was really the biggest motivator is that Isaiah would do chores, but he wouldn't do them well. And I saw this meme and it was like, here are your chores, but I expect them to be done full-assed, not half-assed, you know? So that was, I think, the biggest motivator for me was to kind of stop the arguing, give him the opportunity to earn the money to buy these big things that he wants, but only reward him for doing the job well, or at least good. Not, excellent is wonderful. And so I actually set up the system, just when I'm saying that to explain what I'm trying to say is the system includes basically grading him based on how well he did the job. And I'm doing it as like, I remember from when we were kids, how, we would get our report cards and it was unsatisfactory, satisfactory, and excellent. That's how I've been grading him on his chores. So the motivation is not just for him to get a chore done, but to do the chore well.
And I know what everybody's thinking. So if you're on here thinking, oh, if I graded my kid during their chores, they would be out. Like there's
Right.
no way that they would do it. So I just want to
Exactly.
encourage you, put your questions in the Q&A. But when Jen explains all of this, it's going to make better sense because it's not about being punitive. And I think
Right.
that's really important. However, you made an excellent point about getting our kids to not just like do something to like get it over with, but to teach him how to do a job well done, like how to
Right.
hold him accountable. Because if we don't, our kids end up being entitled.
Right.
I mean, they just do. They don't feel
Mhm.
that's okay. We have family home.
I
I'm,
know.
I'm in my dining room. Um, so it's hard enough, to feel
Yeah.
like to get him motivated to do the chores, but then to ask him to do the chores well and to grade him.
Right.
Oh, I can't wait.
Well, yeah. And I think one of the things I didn't, mention was that my whole conversation with him was about having a job someday. And I said, someday you're going to have a job. And in your job, you're actually going to have to do some of these things. I mean, how many of us, our first jobs, we were like taking out the garbage and we were cleaning? Like, you don't get a job and then start up here. You always start down here. Even, you're the peon, you're the last guy on, you're the one who's taking the garbage out. So, I mean, you're going to get a job and you're going to be expected to do things well. So you should do them well now, because this is basically, I am training you for your future. I am training you to be a conscientious employee someday. I don't want you to leave my house, or even, he's getting a job starting this summer. I don't want him to do anything half-assed at work. I want him to be the person who everybody's like, wow, I can't believe how conscientious this kid is. He gets all the work done and he does it well, and that's my goal, is to train him to do these things and then get him out in the world.
Yeah. And that's where I talk about having the principles or having the values of thinking about how do we want to lay the foundation. And yet, rather than just throwing the baby out with the bathwater and thinking, I'm not even going to attempt this because I don't want to argue. I don't want to listen to the
Right.
complaining. I don't want to fight all the time. I'm going to start small. And that's what you're going to explain to us. And you're going to share your screen and you're going to explain exactly how it works. So
Yeah.
are you ready to jump in? And
Yeah, I can. And I do. Yeah. I want to say to everybody, I know that when you first look at this, you might be like, oh my gosh, this is so complicated. I can't do it. But I just want to say that it's worth it. Isaiah, we've been doing this for 5 months. And 3.5 months in, he was doing a lot of this stuff without being asked. And that was, I was just really amazed, to be honest. I didn't think it would happen. I want to say that, so when you see the system I created, I think I talked to Cheryl about this and I said, we'll see. I mean, it's all up to him now. I, I, I don't know if he's going to make it, but if he does, I'm going to be so happy that he does, but he might not, but I'm putting the ball in his court. So I'm going to share with you.
Well, you know
Um,
what? Yeah, share while you're sharing, I want to say this. What I
yeah,
think, how I'm hearing this and what I think is really important for everybody that's on here and listening, it's really about the process, of doing things. And I think that I've got the kind of brain where I'm like, oh, that's probably not going to work. That's why I always say that. It's about the process. It's not the destination.
yeah,
You're working on these things and instilling these things in your kids, these values, thinking about other people, thinking about, being conscientious, working as a team, helping out, doing a job well done, all those things. Those are things we want for our kids. But it's kind of like having the growth mindset, like
right.
just
Okay,
trying
so
to
Cheryl, you have share screen disabled. You're going to have to go into your, you're going to have to edit this so I can share the screen.
okay,
Or
did I go back into
you
my,
might actually be able to do it on the share screen button. It might be there.
okay, sorry guys. Let me see. Oh, share screen. Okay, yeah. You know what? I think I can. Advanced. Okay. We talked about this be portion of screen video. People keep talking, General. I see.
Okay, well, so here's I'll just give you guys like a little overview. So this does involve money, and a lot of people think, my kid, it doesn't, I don't want to pay them to do chores, and or that's not really how our setup works. But for me, the deal is my kid is only motivated by money. That's it. There's no other motive for him.
And
So
we're
I
going to
had to,
talk about other motivators.
yeah. And so Cheryl is going to talk about incentives, but the whole idea was I incentivized this. He always gets a base salary. So no matter what salary, a base allowance. So he's going to get $5 a week no matter what. But when you're buying $150 Lego sets, $5 a week doesn't go a long way, which is why $5 a week was not a motivator. So I went through and are you there yet? No.
I
So
just
I
at the different ones. So sorry. Keep going.
No, that's okay. So I went through and I created this system, and you'll see it when I can share my screen, that there's the chore chart. And I went and I made a list of all the chores that I thought would be helpful around the house. This is one of the things actually that I was sharing with Cheryl that I think is really important. Don't make it hard for them.
Yeah.
You're not trying to um, overload them, and you're not trying, our kids have a job already and their job is school, and we want them to do well in school, and we want them to get their studying done, and then we want to allow them to have time to spend with their friends. So if all they're doing is working on these chores because they feel like if they don't get them done they're not going to get their incentive, that's not going to work either. So I say go around the house and think about the things that your kid really needs to do, not just random stuff. I mean, I was explaining to Cheryl that I actually only had one chore I ever had to do growing up.
I
I had to
changed
do it
it.
every
I found it.
day.
Just so you
Okay,
know. Okay.
great. Yeah. So what I was going to say is I had to do it every day. So it was a real chore. But I didn't have to do anything else, but it was enough. I had to set the table, clear the table, do the dishes, put the dishes in the dishwasher, and then we'd used cloth placemats and cloth napkins and put them in the wash like that. I had to do that every single day. So that was enough. I didn't have other chores, but I turned into a responsible kid who knew what to do, and I had to do it well. I had to wipe the table down. I couldn't leave a crumb. I had to dry out the inside of the sink because we had a stainless steel sink that would always spot. So, I had to do it well. I didn't get paid for it, but that was how our family was structured. So, okay, if we're ready to share, yes, we
Sure.
are.
And
Here
as
we
I
go.
want you to all think about what works for you. Like this is what works for your kids. So it might not look like this, and that's okay. But just thinking, taking what fits, taking what doesn't fit, and thinking about what motivates my kid. It's going to look different. What my mom did with me and what I ended up doing with my kids is, I'll just finish my sentence.
Yeah.
Saturday was the cleaning day. And that's where they had to clean their rooms. And then they had to help out, clean up the kitchen at night and pick up their stuff.
And
So,
that's
that worked really well. And I had to, even though we had some help growing up, I had to clean my room and we had to clean the bathroom.
And that kind of is what is happening in our family, is that, the bulk of the chores are getting done on the weekend. So this is the chore chart that I created. And, what I did is the items with the asterisks.
And you're going to get this.
Yes, you're going to get this. And actually, I have another chart I shared with Cheryl earlier that might have just some other ideas, but the asterisks must be done. So if they are not done, it's basically an automatic unsatisfactory if you don't do it. And they were things that I felt like I said, they had to be done. And now when we look at the dishwasher, and I know I'm going to be super specific, but I just want to explain to you guys exactly how I'm doing it so that you can understand how I'm keeping the pressure low. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I'm not trying to make this be something that's overwhelming to him. I want it to be common sense. So for instance, with the dishwasher, load and unload, put the dishes away. I don't mean like he has to do the dishwasher every single day. What I mean is that if he comes in the kitchen and the dishwasher is full and he's doing something with a dish, he has to empty the dishwasher and then put the dishes in. You all know that when they're not doing that. So you don't have to think, well, I can't police that. If the dishwasher is full and you see your kids' dishes in the sink, right? So that is the unload load. And then sometimes it's been, Isaiah, can you come? Like he's sitting on the sofa. Can you come do it? But I never interrupt him in the middle of something. If he's gaming with his friends, I don't yell downstairs, come and unload the dishwasher. So it has to be part of the flow. And I think that just even that specific example is why he started doing these things on his own, because it wasn't painful. It made sense. It was just part of the normal flow of the house. So
you weren't really rigid.
No, right, exactly. So the rest of the things, so clean his bedroom, and he's got allergies. So when I say pick up tissues, literally there's always tissues all over his bedroom floor. So, clean his bedroom, and then dust and straighten his basement because he's got like a man cave. So he has to do that and throw away the garbage because garbage accumulates down there. And so throw away the garbage. You have to be very specific. I've noticed, at least with Isaiah, if I don't say it, he doesn't do it. So then one load of laundry, that's all I ask is one load. And I didn't care if it was his bedding, all of his blankets that he's got like 5 blankets on his sofas in the basement. I don't care if it's those. I don't care if it's a load of clothes, but he had to do one load from beginning to end. And
that's once a week.
Once a week. You just had to do one load once a week. And it turned out he usually did his clothes. So that was good. And he figured, and originally he liked to do it on the weekend, but then he realized if he put a load in on Monday, he was more apt to get it done on time, because if he didn't get the whole thing done, he didn't get an excellent for it. If he got it like in the dryer, I would give him a satisfactory. But if it sat in the washing machine and didn't even make it to the dryer, he got an unsatisfactory for that. So take out the garbage has kind of been the same kind of thing. If he wants to throw something away and the garbage is full, everybody in this house is guilty of trying to jam one more thing into the garbage when it's full. So emptying the garbage when it's full, or when I say, like, when we're getting done after dinner, hey, can you take the garbage out? But I never, like I said, yell to him when he's playing video games, come take out the garbage like that. It just didn't work. So pick up poop. We have a dog. Once a week, he had to pick up the poop. I don't care what day he did it. He had to do that. The excellent is doing it really well. Satisfactory is if I went out there and I still found poop. And unsatisfactory is basically he didn't do it. The kitty litter thing was a once a month. So he had to do that when I asked him to. And then
Okay.
the last thing was one miscellaneous chore that was anything that I wanted him to do. And it was just basically, he wasn't something he wasn't allowed to say no to. And it wouldn't be more than 10 minutes. Like for instance, at Christmas time, it was, oh yes, I've been doing it 6 months. It was bring all the boxes downstairs, like all my Christmas boxes. Can you please bring them? First, it was bring them upstairs so I could pack stuff up. And then it was bring it downstairs the next time. So it was just easy little things that just made my life easier, not random, like, how can I punish him today things. And then everything else was bonus. Okay, so everything else is bonus. I went through here and they were like vacuum, clean bathroom, all these different things. They're bonuses.
Can
So
you
this is how it,
scroll down? Is it go to
yeah,
15? Okay.
yeah, it goes down.
Okay.
So here's how it goes. So this is the deal, guys. And this is where it gets a little crazy. All right. He basically is getting graded on everything. An unsatisfactory is basically if it's not completed, you get an automatic unsatisfactory. If you did it, what?
Okay.
You
Well,
have a
you can
question?
explain, but I also want to make sure that you're going to explain to them how you had that conversation
Oh,
when you went
okay.
to do it. Just because I'm thinking, because I can read mom's minds, like, "Ooh, if I
Okay.
get a conversation, I think they think that they're going to get graded, then they're going to say, no way, I'm going to do it."
Okay.
So how
So
did
actually, right. And you
how
know
did that
what? I'm telling it to you forwards or almost backwards. Cheryl's right. It went like this. Mom, I want you to buy me this Lego set. This is how the conversation started.
go?
Why don't you buy me this Lego set? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not doing that. That's a really expensive Lego set. You have birthday and Christmas and those, that's where you get your money to do things like that. And you get your, and I said to him, we had this chore thing. You could have been making $20 a week. You kept blowing it off. And he's like, well, it was like, it didn't make sense and whatever, he gave me his whole spiel. So I said to him, look, I'm going to do a chore chart. You're going to have the potential to make $20 a week if you do the things on this chore chart. And if by the end of April, so for us, it just ended. So if by the end of April, I was doing 6 months, you get an average. I'm going to grade you on these and you get an average of 83%. I'm going to give you $100 bonus. So that was the key, because $100, first of all, it's a lot of money, right? So $100 is a lot of money, but I think of it over a period of 6 months. It's not, it's still a lot. This is what works for Isaiah. He's a money kid. I'm going to give you $100. If you do this by the end of April, you do it basically how I phrased it is you do a really good job. I'm going to grade you, on how good you do the work, but I'm going to make it very clear to you what the differences are, why you would get one grade. And I know I keep calling it grade, but it's the easiest way to say it, why you would get one grade over another. I'm going to be very clear with you about it. But if by the end of April, you get an average of 83%, I'm going to give you $100. And if you stay above 90%, you're going to get another $25. And if you save 80% of that money instead of spending it, I'm going to give you another $25. So he had the potential after April to have $150. I
And
went into this thinking he was going to fail, just so you guys all know. I really didn't think he could do this, but I don't want to say I underestimated, because, obviously in the back of my head, but I underestimated the power of him wanting this $100. So think about it this way. He could do this and make $80 a month, but the motivator was the $100 at the end of April, because his brain could not process, just like it didn't do it when I had the simple chore chart. It couldn't process getting $20 a week will equal $100 in 5 weeks. All he had to do was 5 weeks worth to get $100. I just want you guys to know he's never gotten $20 in a week yet. In the 6 months he did it. No, that's not true. I think he did it twice. I have a little thing here. I kept all the chore charts in a folder. So because this is what I'm going to tell you. So this is the hard part. Okay. So we had this conversation and I said, you want this. I need you to work for it. I'll give you 6 months. This is, you want $150. Here's how you can get $150. For, like I said, for whatever reason, he didn't get the weekly part. It just didn't click, but he got that by the end of April, he could walk away with $150.
Okay, now I have a question, and make sure you're putting your questions in the Q&A. Okay, there's 2 people, so good. All right, so I'm thinking, but that was 6 months. Why do you think that worked? I'm thinking like with tweens or teens, that seems like an awful long time where he got that and he wanted that $100. But did you ever wrestle with the 6 months maybe taking too long or no?
No, because first of all, I thought it was, you know what, like you're going to see a part of my personality. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought this whole idea was ridiculous. I just kind of made it up to try and get him to do chores. So I didn't really want to give him $150. And there was part of me that I don't, you're going to see inside my horrible mind. I kind of wanted him to fail so I wouldn't have to give him $150. But then again, there was the other part of my mind that's like, you know what, if he succeeds, he deserves the $150, So it was both like, I'm kind of warring with myself in my head because there was these 2 options, but I felt like if he was going to do it, I wanted him to learn something. And I don't think that in 2 months or 3 months, he could learn something. I needed him to get to the point where this stuff became second nature.
Yeah.
That was my goal. My goal is not for it to be punitive and also not to be, even though he's being rewarded, I don't want it to be about the reward in the end. In the end, I want it to be about the fact that I have trained him to do these things and that he has created this mindset where if he's in the kitchen now and the dishwasher is full, he just empties it. That just happens now. If the garbage is sitting, sometimes what I do is I'll take the garbage out of the garbage can because we have one of those simple human cans. I'll take the garbage out of the garbage can, but lean the bag up because I'm sick and tired of always doing it and running up and down the stairs. So if I just lean a full garbage bag against the garbage can, within 3 or 4 hours, it's gone. He takes it out. He sees it there and he just takes it out. And I don't have to ask him now. So that was my reasoning for the 6 month is that I don't believe that you can train a kid to do these things well in just a couple months. So that was that.
So you saw a big change in behavior through this.
Right. I really did. So one of the things I want to say is that a chore chart like this, the way that it's structured, works really well for me. But it didn't work well for Isaiah. He needed a list. So my goal, once again, was to help him. It was not to help him fail. It was to help him succeed. So I wanted to do all the things that I could that would help him succeed. And one of those things was creating a list for him because he said, the first 2 weeks, he did a really bad job. Actually, the first week was abysmal, so I didn't even count it. And we talked about afterwards.
Good for you.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like I said, I'm not trying to get him to fail. And I wanted to understand why he had such a hard time. So after we talked about it,
that is really good.
That I wanted to understand. So I wanted to have a conversation with him and say, Isaiah, you didn't have that much to do. Why was it so hard for you to get it done? And he said, I need you to remind me. And I said, the point of a chore chart is so that I don't have to remind you. And he said, well, I need you to do that. So I said, how about I make you a list? And the best way I found to make him lists for chores is to use Post-it notes, which we actually did a whole Post-it note chore chart thing in the past when we're doing, like, you're getting ready for Thanksgiving or Christmas to help people. Right. So Post-it notes work really well because he can do one and throw it away. But he didn't want me to put them on the wall where everyone could see. He just wanted me to give them to him. So I literally just each Post-it note, just like a pile of Post-it notes, handed them to him and never saw them again, unless I saw them in the garbage. So I gave him a Post-it note for everything. and he knew what he had to do. He also said, because he wasn't doing the bonus thing. So here's the other thing is that if he did two bonus things, so without the asterisk, two of those things, he would get it automatic 100% by doing two of those. Now, of course, he had to do all of the regular things and they couldn't be unsatisfactory. But even if some of them were satisfactory, as long as he did two bonus things, automatic 100%. So he said, also, if you could please decide what you think would be the two best bonuses. And also I needed to put on there whatever that 10-minute miscellaneous chore was. Like I couldn't be like, when I decide you have to do this. I did give him the opportunity to do it over the period of a week. So I would create all those Post-it notes and I would give them to him. It didn't mean he did it all, but he did better. So we figured that out because like I said, I did not want him to fail. And so just so you guys know, when you look at this, I just want you to see. So the unsatisfactory is 70%, which means that if he stays under 80%, he would only get $5 that week. So like I said, he has a $5 base allowance. And it doesn't change. If you do bad job, you don't get more than your $5. Okay.
Okay,
But
so
if you,
he was already going to get $5 a week.
no matter what, right. So not doing stuff well basically means you're not getting anything. Because like I said, I'm not rewarding him for doing a crappy job. I'm not going to reward him for, like, for instance, let me give you a good example. So first of all, not doing this stuff at all. But like, if I say clean your bedroom and I go upstairs and the only thing you did is make your bed, that's unsatisfactory. However, I would give him always, if I noticed that the week wasn't over and he said he finished something and it wasn't done well, I would give him the opportunity to fix it. I wouldn't be like, oh, he didn't clean his bedroom very well. Let's wait and see what happens on Sunday. I would say, hey, dude, I know you're telling me you cleaned your bedroom, but I noticed there's still some dishes. And actually there was one extra thing that you don't see on here, but the clean bedroom also had a caveat, and it was one thing that shouldn't be out gets put away, because Isaiah loves to have all of his stuff like on display. So he's got so much stuff on his desk. And I don't like to be like, that has to get totally clean. I want him to figure out where he wants those things to be, because his basement, he has things displayed. He has like all these collectibles and stuff. So the rule also was one thing needs to find a real forever home. So that was even part of the deal. So I go upstairs and I see like, okay, he didn't take any of the things. He didn't pick anything to get a forever home. And there's two glasses next to his bed. So I would say, hey, I want to be able to give you an excellent on this. So why don't you finish it? If he didn't finish it, he'd get the satisfactory. If he did, he got the excellent. And it was the same way with everything. The unsatisfactory with the dishwasher was basically not doing it at all, but a satisfactory was like only doing it halfway. Towards the end, it was like you only did it once this week would get him only a satisfactory. But that was just because I learned that he could do it, that he was capable of it.
Was it Monday? Was it like Sunday?
Monday through Sunday. It was Monday through Sunday, because that gave him an opportunity, if he said he did things, for him to have the weekend to fix it. And I think that makes more sense. If you do, you need to give them the time to, if they decide they're going to do all their chores on Saturday or all their chores on Sunday, fine. That was how I was. If like I said, if I noticed something, I would give him one reminder and that's it. I don't want him to fail, but I don't want to nag him.
Did you go, okay, 5 o'clock Sunday? And this
He
is when
had
it's
till bedtime. He had till bedtime on Sunday. But if I noticed on Saturday that there were things that weren't done, I would just be like, hey, I just want to remind you.
Yeah.
You still have some Post-it notes. And I wouldn't even be like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I would be like, you still have some Post-it notes. So
yeah, she got some Post-it notes over there left.
Yeah, exactly. Or, I noticed you threw this Post-it note away, but there's still, there's still stuff in the dryer that hasn't been folded. Or there's still a basket of folded laundry in your bedroom that hasn't been put away. And I want you to be able to get an excellent, and that was just what I would say. One reminder, one time, and then it was up to him. And that was the truth every week. That was the case every week. I never told him more than once. I never, hovered or badgered or anything. I just said, here's your post-it notes. And then, so just to kind of fast forward, I know I didn't really finish explaining this actually.
Keep going.
Yeah. So the 70% unsatisfactory, 80%, he got $10. So that was anything under 90%. He would get $10. And then between 90 and 100%, he would get $20. Okay. Yes, you have to do math. Okay. And if you need help with the averages thing, just ask me. But basically, I would go in
my brain because I'm not.
I know.
As you know, I'm not a math person, but probably everybody else is here.
Okay. So I literally took my own chore chart. So I printed everyone out and I made it easy for both of us by highlighting the, actually should I take this off? Well, no, I still think you need to see the share. So by highlighting what needed to be done, and then I just X's in what he did. And if it was, so I printed one out for every week and I had the blank that right up here and I put the week of what the date was. And I printed one out for every week. And then I put in here, like whether he did it satisfactory, unsatisfactory. And I literally then did the grades where it was like a satisfactory is 80%, an excellent was 100%. And I just went like that. So it was 70, 80, 100 was how I graded it. That 90 is only there to show that it was 90 to 100 to get the 20. So that's how I graded all of them. And I would go through and then I would average them. So if he did all of his chores and plus 2, I can't remember how much it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 2, that was 10. I would add it all up, divided by 10. Or, well, that automatically actually gave him 100% unless he had unsatisfactories and then it didn't. But if he only did the 8, I added them all up, divided by 8. And that's how I got my average. And that average decided how much he got. I would say he tended to stick around the $10 area. I toyed with putting a $15 in the 90%. And I don't think that's a bad idea. If you guys want to do that, if you want to add in that $15. Anyway, so I would average it and that's what he would get. So I know it was a lot of work, but it really worked for him because regardless of what he was getting every month, he was motivated to get that $100. I cannot stress that enough.
So funny.
So here, if he got an average of 83%, that's all he had to do was to get his $100 bonus. But that was because I knew we'd have a lot of unsatisfactories. And if you look at this one, I don't even know, this was the week of March 29th. He had 3 unsatisfactories. So, I mean, right there, those were 70%. So you pull a 70% in there, it's going to get hard to be up to 83%. So I started tallying up all of his, and I don't know, I can keep the screen share on or I can change it off now, but I started tallying up all of his stuff.
I just want to tell them, you're going to get this.
Okay? Yeah.
Maybe you can you give them a blank one too?
Yes.
Written, and maybe, is that hard to do?
I think it's easier for them. Yeah. But I think it's easier for them to have one that's filled in and they can just go in here and change what it says by typing in here. I just think it's easier. I think if I start taking the words out, you'll actually not remember what you're doing.
Okay.
I think I just do. I think it's probably easier to just leave it like this and have them adjust it. But so I got to a point where I thought, man, he's got a lot of unsatisfactories in here. And I don't want him to not make his goal because it was 6 months, just like you said, Cheryl. 6 months is a long time. So I think it was 4 months in, I tallied everything. And he was at, where was he? I have this right here. I think he was at 78% or something like that. I think it was at like 78% after 4 months. And I said, look, I know you really want this bonus. So this is what you're going to have to do for the next 2 months to make it. This is what your percentage is going to have to be in order for you to make it. Because once again, my goal was not for him to fail. I thought he would, and he almost did. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I wanted him, he had been doing this and following along with it and dealing with the consequences, I guess you would say too, if you would only get $5 one month or 1 week. But he was still doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, regardless of the fact that he wasn't doing it well, he was still doing it. I wanted him to be rewarded. I wanted him to understand that it was his good work that was making the difference, because that's really the key. He was getting money every week. Sometimes he was getting $10, he even got $20 a couple, like 2 times or 3 times. I don't even remember, but
So remembering what the goal is,
right.
it's to get him thinking about this, to get him being conscientious, to think about the kind of job he's doing, where it's
Right.
become a habit.
Right. And I
It's
mean, we had a talk at 4 months. I sat him down. I said, let's go through these numbers. I want you to see how this happens. I want you to understand what's happening, because Isaiah's not a math kid. Isaiah has dyscalculia. So, I mean, it's not even like I could say, you look at these numbers yourself and figure it out. I mean, I have to walk him through it. There was a point even where I felt like maybe it wasn't fair to do this because he doesn't do well with numbers, but it really wasn't about that. It was also, it could have been a grade. It could have been an A, B, or C. It could have been, you know what I mean? It could have been anything. So I sat him down and I said, look, this is what's happening. These are the chores that you tend to never do or never do well. All you have to do is do that 1 time a week and you'll hit your $100. So, there were ones he was always doing and always doing well, and I never had a problem with. And then there were the ones that would hover between satisfactory and unsatisfactory, like where he wouldn't do. Like I would say there were plenty of weeks where he didn't do the dishes. He didn't,
I think that's comforting.
yeah, he didn't do his laundry would sit in the washing machine. And then I would be like, you got to do your laundry over again. It's been in there for 3 days. Now you're starting over again because it smells.
He sounds like me when that happens.
Right. I mean, and that's the reality, right? We all do that. It's not like we haven't done it, but
he's learning.
Right. But he's not going to get rewarded for that.
Yeah.
We don't get rewarded for it either.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, we would have these talks, or we wouldn't have them. We had a sit down talk. And he was like, okay, yeah, because he was energized again. He was like, okay, the goal was 2 months away. But there was never a point where he was like, it's not worth it. It's taking too long. It was like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I can't wait until April. He would look at the calendar and say, how far away are we from the last day? I actually we have a kitchen calendar, and I put it on the calendar. Where is it? I'll show you guys, because April is gone. And I have these like tearaways. Oh, I don't know where it is. Okay, well, I don't want to.
Yeah. What was it? It's like a calendar that hangs.
Here. It's right here. I wrote it on our calendar that hangs in the kitchen. It's my messy writing, but it says $100, be average, $25, save 90%, which I changed to 80%, by the way. This was the original agreement, and I changed our agreement like 5 minutes after I made it.
Well, and it's also, you revisited it so that the goal was in front of him.
Exactly.
I need that. Like, regroup to see what the goal is, when I need to hit it by, and what's working. Like you were asking him, hey, you weren't punitive, you weren't nagging, you weren't lecturing, but it was like, okay, at the beginning, what's going on that this isn't working?
Right.
And then he was able to tell you, I need you to write it.
Right.
So I just like the relational part of it.
Right.
How you made it very relational and not punitive.
Yeah. Well, and that was like I said, I mean, my goal was not to punish him. But the other piece of it is that I wanted him to take responsibility for it as well. So he would, he was responsible for telling me how to help him, right? I said, how can I help you? I
Yeah.
didn't say, this is what I'm going to do to help you. So there was that piece. How can I help you? You tell me how I can help you.
Which they can hear so much better, as
Right.
everybody knows, rather than being told.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a list, or I'm going to whatever, it was really, it was like, how can I help you? Let's talk about that. What would help you? That kind of conversation. And then the other piece was not pushing him, because I have definitely found, I mean, like you said, Isaiah's a resistor, and to actually, I would say like clinical extent resistor, right? I mean, in serious situations, he's a resistor. So I knew that if I even pushed a little, that everything would shut down. So it was a one reminder that something wasn't done, the end. You didn't, I noticed this isn't finished yet. I know you want to do well. The end. I'm not going to push him, because that would start, we would just go back and forth. And that would be,
Well,
oh,
one
there's
of
one
my,
other thing I wanted to, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
after you go, but then I have another kind of
Well,
point
one other
that I
thing I
want
was going
to
to
highlight.
say is that it was really important for me to help him succeed. And I wanted him also to succeed at the savings part. I wanted him to be able to save that money, because he actually had goals. And while he knew that he was going to get that $100 if he made that, he wanted, I mean, he doesn't want to just have the 150. There's all these things he wants to buy. So we had a conversation about that as well. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I made it easy by he has a student checking and he has a savings account. So I opened two accounts for him that are in my bank, so that I could go online and just transfer the money directly into his account. So
Ooh, I
number
like that.
one, yeah, it's huge, because you know what? I used to be the queen of forgetting to give him allowance. He would be like, you didn't give me allowance for the last 2 weeks. And I would be like, did I, or did I not? And I would have to take his word for it, because I couldn't remember. So this was a huge thing for me, which I actually did before this, but with the savings, it was super important, because I would take whatever money he made and I would automatically put 80% into his savings account. Now he could take that money out. So I knew how much needed to be in there by the end. I paid attention to what should have been in there. So if he wanted to take money out, that was his prerogative, but then he didn't get the $25 bonus. But I did. Oh my gosh, sorry. I have little notifications when Isaiah's classes are over. So yeah, I tried to make it easy for him. I had the two accounts. I would just every week I would look at my chart. I would do the money. I would transfer it into his bank account. No money would change hands. If he wants cash ever, it's the same kind of thing. I transfer money from his account to my account, hand him cash, or he has a little debit card he can use. I think that's huge too, just for money management. I think we need to let our kids do stuff like that.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
Isaiah's a freshman.
right? But my niece, who's 12, has the same thing.
Mhm. Yep.
And
I just
so,
wanted them to know, because I was thinking they might not know how old he is. So you're
right,
starting already to teach him to manage his money like that, and see that the money in his bank account is increasing
right,
and doing these things.
exactly,
What I just wanted
exactly,
to say, and maybe they remember this, but to highlight that he was already getting, regardless of if he did chores or not, $5 a week.
right, right.
So this was a motivator. He could make a choice. I'm either going to do
Yes,
nothing. I'm going to
yeah,
do nothing extra. I'm going to get my $5. Or, hey, if I do these things that aren't a big deal, I can actually make more money.
right,
So I think that's motivating. It wasn't like I'm
absolutely.
paying you zero money. It's like you just get money every week as part of your allowance, and this is a bonus.
1 second. Stop, stop.
So Isaiah's talking. Isaiah's talking to Jen. He could probably hear me. Hi, Isaiah. So, yeah, yes, was wondering his age. Good, Christine. Okay,
Yeah.
and Amanda, I just so you know, I see your question. You can put them in Q&A. Well, okay. How did you handle? So, what else were you done explaining it, Jen?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much done. I mean, I think it's easier now to answer questions than it is to just drone on.
Okay, and we're going to talk about other ideas of incentives,
Incentives, yes.
but how did you handle complaining?
I just said it's, I mean, I said this to Cheryl earlier today, and it's that like I am like a Cheryl student, right? So I think I have a lot of those skills already in place when it comes down to things like complaining, because basically my answer is, here's something we talked about. We agreed on it. It's your choice. I mean, that was always just kind of what I said. It's your choice. Do it or don't do it. There was no complaining, because if he didn't do it, he didn't get paid, which is exactly why I said we got to a certain point and I realized he wasn't going to make it, because there were plenty of weeks where he did like 2 things on the list only. So that's not going to get you much. If you're, averaging out 8 things and 6 of them are 70%, that's a huge deal. So I don't want to say there is no complaining, but there's nothing to complain about. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it's a choice. Yeah.
It's your choice. Do it or don't do it. I don't care. I mean, that's what I kind of kept saying. Do it or don't do it. I don't care. If you don't get it done, I'm $100 richer by the end of this.
Yeah.
So
He had the long-term goal.
he
Oh,
did, right. And I think that's why, when you do talk about incentives, the importance of it being a real incentive,
well,
something.
and I'm also thinking, as I said in the beginning, take what fits, leave what doesn't. But you can also connect it to this needs to be done. If you're like kid's room has got rotten food in it, it's just a cyclone went through it, this needs to be done before you go to your friend's house. Before I'm going to take you in the car and drive you there, this needs to be done. So you can also attach it when blank, then blank. So
Right.
that's another way to do it. If you're not going to do this, the program Jen's sharing, but we want to give you, I thought it was really powerful to see what she's doing and how successful it's been with Isaiah, who tends to resist these things.
Well, and because what you just said didn't work. I mean, we tried all those things, it was like he was just like, whatever, then fine, I'll just stay home. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's always like, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it was, you get, like I said, when we had the chore chart that literally said you can have $2 for doing this, $3 for doing that, $4 for doing that, didn't matter. Plenty of weeks where there was nothing.
So what would you say? So we'll keep going, but I mean, I'm wondering, a big part of it is knowing what motivates your kid.
Right.
And that's huge. So Amanda asked, one post-it per chore every week, even extra chores. So
yes, one post-it per chore, one post-it per extra chore also. So everything is on its individual post-it. And that way, when he was finished with it, he could just crumple it up and throw it away.
And I liked how Jen did it. Now I've done that with my kids, but I put it on a wall.
Right.
And each kid has a different color. But Jen did have it on a whiteboard, and then she had you had it where he could pick it off at times.
Right.
Now a little
He
different.
doesn't, yeah, now he doesn't like that anymore. Now he just wants me to hand him the post-its.
Yeah, I like that. You had a do and a done, or did and a.
I did. Yes, we did. But that's what I mean. Like, I feel like we've been through a lot of things everything worked in the beginning. All these other methods that we tried, they all worked in the beginning and then they didn't work anymore. That's why having a long-term goal will work, because the goal is out there. It's not, there is something we're working for beyond a daily or weekly allowance.
Yep. Okay, here's some other questions.
Yes.
Is this for younger kids or more for older teenage kids?
I don't know what you mean by younger, but my niece, who's 12, is all over this. So, she has her own desires of things that she wants, and it's not always money for her. She has a horse, so she wants things for her horse. So it's like, if you do this, at the end, we'll get Simon a fancy jacket or, a fancy fly mask or whatever. So, I mean, it's stuff like that. And she is very motivated to do it. I almost feel like younger kids are more motivated by things like that because they seem even bigger to them.
I had a big jar and I went to the dollar store when my kids were little, and I bought a bunch of like those little dollar things and put them all in. And then if they did their chores every week, they got to pick something out of the bucket. And that was,
Okay.
they loved that. That
Yeah.
was really fun. It was like going to the doctor. Does Isaiah want to come say hi?
Come say hi, Isaiah, and tell them about how excited you are that this is over, because he literally mentioned it today, right? Didn't you mention it?
About what?
About this chore thing. What do you think? How do you think of it? Come down so everyone can see, because we're
Yeah.
doing a workshop about it right now.
Oh, Isaiah, I like your haircut.
Yeah.
Set
Oh,
haircut.
thank you.
Can you get?
Here, let me
Sorry,
just get
Isaiah's
back
on
in the shot.
crutches, so it's hard for him to
Yeah, I
get.
gotta do a haircut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks awesome. What do you think motivates kids? What motivated you to help your mom around the house?
Money. Because there's like things that I want. So I figured it would be a good win-win if there was like something that I could get, but I could also give her something at the same time. So we found a system that works, and now we've just been sticking with it.
Yeah, that's great. And that you got your $100, right?
Not yet. Almost there. I haven't
Yeah.
reached it yet.
We had a skip month because he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
So we have so technically one more month, but he's gonna make it at this rate. He knows he will too. He even said it to me.
Yeah.
He said something to me this morning.
But it
about
wasn't easy. It was really tough. And I think that's the important part, especially with like a chore chart or something, is that there's going to be times when it's really rough because no one wants to like, be told to do something even if they know they're going to get something. So I think it can be hard, but eventually a rhythm I think can be found. It's just like knowing how to adapt to the change and knowing how to like go over the speed bumps without like flying over them, just knowing how to like work through tough situations. Luckily, she really knows how to work through those tough situations with me, so we get to work things out. But
Ah.
I think that that's the most important part, is just being strong.
So it sounds like you felt like your mom's for you, like she wanted you to succeed.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was being like, pressured, or that like she would be mad at me. It was really just that, I want to help you. If you work with me, then we can get things done. So all I really needed to learn was that, when you do something, it doesn't always have to be a chore. Eventually, I think when you get into like a rhythm like we did, the things feel so natural that sometimes you just do them without even realizing. And then you're like, oh, I'm getting a reward for this.
Well, can he have his $100 early for?
I don't know. Are you offering to pay it?
I'm like, that's so awesome, Isaiah. Okay, fine. I have one other thing I want to ask you. What do you think does not motivate like kids? Mistakes that parents make that makes their kids not want to be helpful?
I think that there's really two things. I think the first thing can be like being too harsh with the punishment. So if like you're trying to work through something and you decide that punishment is your route, and that maybe for some parents that's the way that they want to go. And I won't say how you should parent your kid, but I think that sometimes maybe too harsh of a punishment might have them then feel like a bad reaction, and they might put like having to do chores with, if they don't do it, with a bad punishment, and they might put those feelings together and like mix them up. So I think that going too harsh on a punishment can be something. And then also I think that like if you find your child doing something, or if you think that they're like about to go do it, trying not to like remind them to do it or to do it can be helpful, because there'd be sometimes when like I'd be in the kitchen getting some water and I'd realize we had no glasses. So I would start doing the dishes. But then if she walked in and was like, hey, don't forget to put the dishes away, then it was like, I'm already doing them. So if you say that, then it kind of makes it a chore. Now I have to do it. So if I'm doing it by myself, I just want you to let me go, maybe say good job.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so insightful. Yeah, the moms are saying, wow, so mature and wise.
Thank you.
You have Cheryl to thank for half of that, at least,
Yeah.
I'd say, right?
That was
Yeah,
great.
definitely. You've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Isaiah, that was so helpful. Just getting your perspective. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
we're only going to be on here like 5 more minutes.
I'll head out now. You guys can have your time. I have things to go catch up on.
Thanks, Isaiah. Everybody's clapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Christine, thanks, Isaiah.
See,
Okay.
and now you know it's real. I didn't just make it up. We really do it.
Yeah. Gosh, what he said there was so cool. Like,
You know how I know. And he was so
oh,
nice
I
to
know
me.
he was. Did you take in that affirmation?
Yes, I couldn't believe it.
But you're for him. See, and I want
Yeah,
like, how can we, Crystal, I love that. How can we be for our kids and
right.
say that? Because that's what he verbalized.
Yeah.
Like you
And
would,
he's right. I do that thing that he doesn't like. I have done it. And where and that's where I put in that only remind once rule, because I was doing that. I would see him in the kitchen and be like, well, you're in the kitchen already. You might as well empty the dishwasher. And he literally was like, I was about to empty the dishwasher and now I'm mad at you. And he would be mad at me for like 3 or 4 hours after that because he was going to do it anyway. And he's like, his anger is, you assume I'm not going to do it. That's where the anger is. It's not like I was going to do it and now you're bossing me, but it really is like that.
nope.
He wouldn't do it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I think that's our human nature.
I
I mean,
need
if I'm doing something and then like even Todd will say, so when are you going to do that thing? I'm like,
right.
I'm doing it. You know?
Right.
I get frustrated.
Yeah.
So I think we don't, I think we forget that's how
Yeah.
we're impacting our kids. Like if somebody's nagging me constantly, did you do this? Did you do this? I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do it.
Yep.
Oh, anyway. Okay. Dishwasher. My kids share this. We can give about
Okay.
5 more minutes and talk a little bit about some other incentives. But dishwasher, my kids share this, each doing a level. Suggest.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, if that works too, that's great.
I don't understand. I'm not
I
understanding.
think she's saying like one does the top and one does the bottom. Is that what she's saying? Like one puts the glasses away and one puts like
Oh,
the
yeah.
plates and stuff.
Then they're working as a team.
Yeah. Unless hopefully though, in my situation, the problem would be if only one wants to do the work and the other one isn't, then who gets the credit? But
Yeah. Yeah.
but
If
I'm
they're
sure,
working as a team, they could get an
yeah.
extra. That could be one. Like
Yeah, working as a team.
working as
Right.
a team, then you get
That's when my sister and I had to do that with the kitchen. When we cleaned the kitchen every day, did the, one set, one cleared. We would just be like, we had to work as a team, who's cleaning the island, who's cleaning the kitchen counters, who's cleaning, so I think that that's important. I mean, Isaiah's an only child, so I don't have to deal with that, but
yeah, working
cooperation
as
is
a team
huge.
is huge. We give our two each a chart for Saturday and they have electronics when they're done. Many times oldest doesn't get it done and her chores affect the rest of the house.
Right.
No TP or soap in the bathroom, for instance. Then what? Should we spread over a week? I'll let you answer that.
I think I have, I mean, and remember, these are just my opinions. Okay. But I try not to set Isaiah up to fail. So none of the chores he has to do affect our house because I'm going to be angry. If he has to do something that I need done in order to function, I'm going to get angry with him, which is like why even with the dishwasher thing, I would be like, dude, you didn't empty the dishwasher. And he's like, well, you kept emptying it before I had a chance.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, sorry, I'm not going to let it not get empty. So he did get his unsatisfactory for that. I wasn't waiting for him because if I did, I'd have no glasses, I'd have no plates. So, I mean, I guess I would say maybe kind of revisit what the chores are so that whatever the incentive is tied to something that only really affects them or doesn't affect you in such a negative way. Like if it's vacuuming a floor, that's not going to mean you can't function. But if there's no toilet paper, you can't use the bathroom. So
And then you set yourself up for
yeah.
resentment.
So, and you're setting, right. So you're setting them up and you're setting yourself up.
That could be a good bonus.
Exactly. That would be a bonus. But, and then if there's a if that is, and then you said, do you spread it out over the week? I just think that's a conversation you have with your kids. Would it be easier for you if you had the whole week to do it? I mean, that's what I would say. Just ask them. I just know for Isaiah, yeah. I mean, he starts a load of laundry on a Monday. So for him having a whole week for sure, because he'll do the load, he'll start on Monday, it'll get in the dryer on Tuesday, he'll fold it on like Thursday or Friday and put it away over the weekend.
And don't expect perfection. Like
No,
that Isaiah left it in the washing machine for 3 days.
right.
So
And
then,
I let him. That's the thing. I let him. And then when I needed to do laundry, or when I need to do laundry, if his wash is in the washing machine, I put it in the dryer and he gets an unsatisfactory. Do you know what I mean? It's not, so it's like I'm saying, don't make it so that your ability to do what you need to do every day is contingent on them. If I do his laundry for him, he gets an unsatisfactory. The end. It's as easy as that. Now, if he wants to try again, if the week's not over and he wants to do another load, fine.
yeah,
But
it's
so
good, Jen. Really, really good stuff. And reach out to Jen. I'm going to I'll put this video in Podia. I'll put it on our page. I'm thinking because of time, what I will do is I will talk about incentives on my live and I'll record it. But think about what motivates your kid.
yeah,
And I will just mention just like a couple that because I wrote a whole thing, extended computer time, extend curfew, those of you, for a little bit longer.
right.
Take them to breakfast, pizza night, sleeping in, a favorite meal, something for their hobby, like Isaiah loves Legos,
Right.
something for their
Right.
bed.
It could have been a big Lego set. I mean, that could have been, he's so into two different things right now, but originally that was it. He wanted this big Lego set. And I said, it could be for that. And he said, yeah, but what if I want this instead? And I said, okay, so let's have it be for that amount of money then. So that was kind of how the money thing went, because he really is like right now he's into airsoft. And, a month ago he was into Lego, like where he wanted his money to go, so he's into all of them. But yeah, I would say,
Yeah, go on.
I would
Sorry.
just say that the incentive does have to be big enough though. It has to be enough that it's worth it. Now, the weekly incentives, I think like, stuff like what you were mentioning, but I think when we're talking about like the 6-month incentive, I mean, maybe it's like a camping trip, your kids want to go camping overnight with you. If that's something you do.
Yeah.
But we're not going camping. It's like a camping trip.
Love it.
You're right.
So as we finish up, I think that the whole theme is to instill these values, help our kids to learn money management, contributing around the house, but also positive affirmation, like setting them up where they're successful and they feel good, where we're not like trying to nail them because they didn't do something.
Correct.
And so there's a lot of different positive things that can happen, and then trying different things. And when I was naming my incentives, I think for the person kind of like me, that maybe, you're so good because you help me organize things with we do lots of this behind the scenes, everybody. And I'm not, my brain doesn't work as well that way. But I would say, you know what? You really worked hard on that test and you did great. Let's go to Starbucks. I'll buy you a Frappuccino. So sometimes even that can really, where you're noticing the effort they're putting in, and you can say, yeah, let's go out to breakfast or donuts for breakfast or whatever, thinking, I'm going to give you some extra time on your Xbox because I just see that you really put in a lot of work studying today on your homework. So I'm going to give you some extended time.
Well, and even with this, just because they did it and it's on their chore chart, it's not like just a checkbox. I would still praise him for it. I would still be like, dude, you did an awesome job putting the dishes away. He does a better job putting the dishes away than my husband does, So I for sure want to affirm you did a great job putting the dishes away. I can find everything. Thank you, or whatever it is, you did a great job vacuuming and whatever it was. I always made sure to notice it and to tell him that I appreciated it.
Yeah. Great. Well, this has been so helpful, Jen. Thank you for sharing this with us, and try different things and see how it goes, and try implementing this. Use the sheet. And how are we going to send that to them? I'll share it on the page, and then
I have a link to it. It's a live page. And if you guys, so this is the way that works, guys. And we'll put this, I think you could just put this in what we send that to them, but you can't edit mine, but if you make a copy, So if you go in Google Docs, or it is a Google sheet, but you just go to file and then copy, you can make a copy that you can edit. So,
Okay, good.
yeah.
All right, we'll tell them that too.
Right.
So thank you everybody for being on
Thanks,
here
guys.
and joining us. And I'll see you tomorrow during the live coaching call.
Yay.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
Jen. Thanks so much again. All
Sure.
right. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye.